Hey everyone, this is Pastor Bryan Ross from Grace Life Bible Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hope that you're all doing well. I wanted to come and make a video this week because I received word from my publisher, Dispensational Publishing House, that my book, Easter, Don't Pass Over Easter, a new defense of Easter in Acts 12:4, is on sale this week for $6.99. And I've been looking at the calendar, and Easter is Sunday, April 4. It's only about 6 weeks away, give or take, believe it or not. And this time of year, especially amongst people that are advocates and Bible believers in the King James Bible, there's usually a lot of discussion and bantering back and forth this time of year regarding Acts 12:4 in the King James Bible. So let's go just briefly look at Acts 12:4 and just remind ourselves why there's this discussion. In Acts 12:4, it says in the King James, and when he had apprehended him, speaking about Peter in verse 3, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So this is the only time Easter occurs in the King James Bible. This is a translation of the Greek word Pascha. And of course, all of the modern version advocates, etc., they all think this is a mistake. They say this is a mistake in the King James Bible, that this should not have been rendered Easter, that this should have been rendered Passover, because every other time that Pascha occurs in the underlying Greek text, the King James translators render it as Passover, except in this one instance here in Acts 12:4. So this has obviously led defenders of the inerrancy of the King James Bible to say, no, it has to be Easter, and it can't be anything other than Easter, because if it was, then there would be an error in the King James Bible. So that view is most typified, if you will, or stated that Easter is pagan, and that Herod is celebrating the pagan feast of Easter in the answer book by Dr. Sam Gipp. This copy was given to me when I graduated high school from Brother John Westmus and Brian Grace Church in Genoa City, Wisconsin, with a note in it, admonishing me in my studies, etc., regarding the King James Bible. The Easter view that has permeated the King James only movement has been largely summarized and enunciated, although you'll find it in a bunch of other books and a bunch of other places, by Sam Gipp in the answer book. A couple of years ago, I was digging around doing some research on some other things, and there's a couple other good websites. The King James Version Today did an article on Easter in Acts 12:4 that was very enlightening, that caused me to start questioning a few things. Okay, now let me just say, I don't believe Easter is the wrong word, but I also don't believe that Easter is referring to a pagan holiday. And I think there is ample evidence as far as the historical meaning and usage of the word Easter. And all I'm going to say is this, because I want to kind of wet your whistle or prick your interest in obtaining your own copy of Don't Pass Over Easter, a new defense of Easter in Acts 12:4. But going all the way back to the Saxon and West Saxon Gospels of 900 and 990, the word Easter, the Saxon word Easter, or an early form thereof, was being used to refer to the Jewish feast of Passover. In fact, the word Passover was not even invented or coined until William Tyndale was working on his Pentateuch in 1530. So when he does his New Testament in 1526, every time the Greek word Pascha occurred in the underlying Greek text of the Textus Receptus, the preserved Greek, William Tyndale rendered it into English as a form of Easter. So what this book is, a Don't Pass Over Easter, a new defense of Easter in Acts 12:4, is the most succinct presentation of the research that I did on the historical meaning and usage of the word Easter. This book is full of word usage tablets going all the way back to the West Saxon Gospels, and it is the most succinct presentation of the data that I was able to put together, and also a critique, frankly, of both James White's treatment of this as well as Sam Gipp's treatment of it in the answer book. There are errors of a dispensational nature that are made also, I believe, by Dr. Gipp that are skewing his understanding and presentation of certain verses. So I'm not going to say too much more about that because I would encourage you to actually buy this book, and it's on sale direct from the publisher this week, Dispensational Publishing House, for $6.99. So in the description below, I'm going to place links to this book where you can order it on sale this week direct from the publisher. I'll post links to where you can get the Kindle format of this book on Amazon. And then I've also did 3 lessons on this back a few years ago at Grace Life Bible Church that were the impetus of what would ultimately be the book. And I will post links to those studies here as well. So hopefully this is a topic of interest. Hopefully this is something that you can investigate between over the next 6 weeks and think about the information and the data that is presented here. And just to be absolutely abundantly clear about it, I don't think Easter in Acts 12:4 is a mistake. I think it's a perfectly great word, and I think it just needs to be adequately and properly understood for what it is and what it meant and why it would be one time in the King James. So if you have any questions or are interested in that, I would encourage you to check this out, to order this book. If you're new to this channel, if you would consider possibly subscribing and liking this video or leaving a comment, we would appreciate that as well. Anyway, thanks for your attention. Hopefully we'll see you next week.